Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hammer Down Ranked, where we rank the albums from a whole range of different rock and metal bands. And this week we're talking about Alabama-based Christian rock band Nine Lashes. Nine Lashes were formed in 2006 in Birmingham. No, not the proper one, a different one. By guitarist Adam Tank Jefferson and drummer Keith Cunningham. Adam's brother John then joined also on guitars, and then they recruited bassist Jared Langford. The vocals of Jeremy Dunn joined the band shortly after original vocalist Daniel Sloan got married and settled down. The band released 4 albums over their career between 2009 and 2016, and my job today is to put them in order of least favourite to favourite, starting with 2016's Ascend. We got to get this one out of the way, everybody. Ascend was an album in which the band utterly abandoned their hard rock and alternative metal roots in favour of a more pop-based record. In fact, I can't really hear any guitars on the record at all. It is majoritively a pop album. Now, that is fine. Bands can change their sound and do whatever they want to do. That is absolutely cool. But after their previous records were so dearly loved by myself, I just had this internal hatred for Ascend from the moment the first single came out. I just decided that I hated it. Now, upon re-listening, there's actually some fairly catchy choruses. In particular, the title track Ascend and also the song Deeper. But overall, it's not really for me. It's not a particularly exciting album. The producer was Aaron Sprinkle, who'd worked on a few albums of theirs previously as well. But unfortunately, it is the only album that I simply do not like from this band. I have no interest in this record, really. It also didn't chart particularly well. And clearly the band weren't overall particularly happy with how this album went down, because after that, all of the 8 singles that we've got since then have all been way heavier and back to the heavy alt metal sound of albums from before. And we're going to come back to talking about those at the end of the video. But we're going to move on now. Go away, Ascend's not interested in you. To number 3, the debut album 2009's Escape. This was a self-released album produced by Travis Wirich, and it kicked off their journey to eventually making some of my favourite records ever. The album fell into the hands of Trevor McNevin, who is the vocalist from Thousand Foot Crutch, who ended on passing it over to their record label Tooth and Nail, who signed, just after the release of this record, Nine Lashes for a 2-album deal with them. Now, naturally, as it was self-released, it didn't chart. It made it into a few Christian charts, but no major rock charts, and that's cool, no worries, it was a self-released album, but it does have the start of what makes their brilliant sound. Songs in particular, like Goodbye, Fly, and Afterglow, which got a revamp on the second record. Overall, it's a decent album. It's a good debut record. The album's very consistent, if not particularly exceptional, and it sets the scene for a band that I truly love. Moving on to what was my shirt of the week, but we're replacing that section for the time being with Festival of the Week, a UK festival that you should all go and check out. Feral Sun are wonderful, and we featured them before in a different shirt, but the rest of my band shirts all, without meaning to go too deep, got washed away in a flood at the tail end of last year, and so I have not got that many band shirts anymore. So I have run out by this point in the channel. So until I stock up on some more, which I will inevitably do at loads of local shows coming up, we're going to each week mention a local festival to get your teeth into here in the UK. And we're going to start with Reading Rising. Now, I went to Reading Rising last year. It's a fantastic festival. It was headlined by Confessions of a Traitor and Our Hollow Our Home. They got some great bands this year, including Lake Malice. Confessions of a Traitor are back. 2 of the bands that we have on our roster, One Last Day and another one that I can't mention yet. It's going to be a really, really cool festival. This year they're doing it over 2 days. The Friday is headlined by Marissa and the Moths, so it's going to be a really, really fantastic occasion. They've got 2 stages. There's no clashes. One stage finishes, the other stage begins. Pretty cool setup if you ask me, and I have to say it is the best thing in Reading. But now moving on to number 2, and it's 2014's From Water to Wall. This album starts their descent into the way poppier music. There's a couple of songs on this album that are particularly poppy, especially Where I Belong, which I just think is a pretty cheesy, not very good song. But the rest of this album is still fantastic. They incorporate a lot more electronic elements than the previous records. It was produced by Jason Rauch and Aaron Sprinkle, and the first single was Break the World, an awesome, awesome song. Some of the singles that followed it up were also fantastic, and eventually when the album dropped, it was the only album to make it into the US Billboard 200 charts, peaking at 121. It also made it to 43 in the US rock chart, so it did have some success. Some great songs on here. I've already mentioned Break the World, but also Cover Your Own and my favourite, You Are the Light. The album was released by Tooth and Nail, and in an interview with CCM magazine, Jeremy Dunn said that the change to a more poppy sound and incorporating more electronic elements was very much an intentional choice, and that the band were trying to expand their sounds. They did a brilliant job. This album is absolutely awesome, but we've got to move on to number one, and this record is just in another league, 2012's World We View. Now, this album is the reason that I like Nine Lashes. It's the reason that I'm even making this video, because this album sits well within my top probably 30 or 40 albums ever. I love this record, probably more than almost any other record on any of the videos so far. From front to back, it is an absolutely awesome record, and if you don't know Nine Lashes, you need to listen to this record. It's so good. So this was the first record released via Tooth and Nail Records as part of their album deal, and this was the first produced by Aaron Sprinkle, but also co-produced by Trevor McNavin, the vocalist, as we mentioned earlier, from Thousand Foot Crutch, who even featured on the song Adrenaline, a way more nu metal song, lots of rap sections in there, wicked song. It also made it to 43 in the US Rock Albums chart, which is exactly the same position that From Water to War got, but it also reached number 5 in the Billboard Heatseekers chart. Compared to the previous album, Escape, this is a way more polished effort. There's electronic elements incorporated into there, but it is a really solid, very well produced album with hard rock, nu metal, alt metal sounds in there. Jeremy Dunn in some interviews described the recording process as completely different to recording and producing Escape, because the styles of both producers were incredibly different. Travis was super hard and intense on them in Escape, and the producers for this record, Aaron Sprinkle and Trevor McNavin, were way more relaxed and just allowed the band to find their sound and just to let it happen. This album also contains the redone version of Afterglow, which featured on Escape. They changed the song composition slightly, recorded it way better, and it just sounds absolutely wonderful. It also features the acoustic song My Friend, very different to what the band had done before, but other great songs, Write It Down, The Intervention, and of course my absolute favourite, Believe Your Eyes. The guitar that kicks off in that introduction, that runs through the choruses, I just think it's one of my favourite riffs ever. And how could you forget the ever massive song Anthem of the Lonely, which to date of recording this video has 22 million views on YouTube and 61 million streams on Spotify, which is comfortably more than anything else they have ever done. Cool music video too. So Ascend, the 2016 album, was of course released now 8 years ago. So where has the band gone? Well, it would be quite easy to suspect that after 2016, with the album not charting and not doing very well at all, that the band would just disintegrate, but that is not the case. They actually reverted way back to a very hard and heavy sound, like on the World We View album. In fact, the 8 singles that they've released since could all make it onto World We View and fit really nicely with that kind of sound. In fact, they could make up a whole fantastic album of their own. We had a single in 2018, we had 5 in 2020, we had 1 in 2021, and then after that song Among the Stars, which is actually my second favourite song from Nine Lashes ever, behind Believe Your Eyes, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the band had disappeared again, because they didn't then release a song until the beginning of this year, which is Ready to See, and it is another great song. Others from this period which really stood out to me, Guilty Hands and Dear Self. So Nine Lashes, I don't really know what the plan is. Their social media goes quiet for months at a time, and then they'll just randomly pop up with, hey, we're in the studio recording this single, whatever. Doesn't look like they're overly busy. I would love more than anything for a 5th record from Nine Lashes, especially judging by the sound they've been putting out over the last 8 singles. I would love for another heavy Nine Lashes record. But that is it. Those are the top records from Nine Lashes, all ranked in order. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Have you listened to these albums before? If you haven't, go listen to World We View in particular, and From Water to War, great album. But other than that, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Next week, we're going to be ranking the albums from a legendary band, Three Doors Down. I'm really excited to do that video. But other than that, like, subscribe, please help us out, and we will see you in the next episode. Peace out.